Black women, aren't you tired of the propaganda of us being viewed as strong but not soft, masculine but not feminine, combative but not pleasant? And this is what our men are saying about us. In the Black community, we were taught to be strong and educated, but not soft and feminine. Get on your feminine journey and join me on YouTube at Mrs. Danielle DeVita, my podcast, Feminine Energy with Danielle DeVita, or you can just book a session by going to mymentor.life/Danielle DeVita. Get on your feminine journey today.
So, I'm not a big advocate of public school because they hire a lot of teachers that either don't care about the children or some of them are just straight white supremacists. Now, you have a young sister that posted a video of what happened on her very, very first day of school. I want you to watch this clip.
My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, probably was in Tulsa shooting at black people.
When I tell you guys, that's not even the half of it. That is not the half of it at all. So like I said, that was his basically opening statement. He was explaining that his family comes from a white supremacist background and that his family used to own slaves. And then he said what he said in that clip that I posted. This is the first day of school, 8 in the morning. So then after that, it was clear that some of the students were visibly uncomfortable because a lot of us came onto the Zoom cameras and was like, what was that for? We don't like the way you handled that the first day of school. We feel like the lesson could have been better. I'm not sure why you're bringing up your ancestors and their racist tendencies. To be fair, he did say that he was disowned because he didn't want to follow the practices of his family. But he did still have a whip from his family that was used on slaves back in the day in his house. And then he asked us if he should keep it.
So as you heard, our young sister had reported about this particular teacher sitting up here talking about his ancestors, then backdoor and saying that, I've been disowned because I'm not like that. But then she said that he has a whip from one of his people that had whipped our ancestors. So no, he hasn't changed at all if he's keeping something like that, because a whip was used as a form of domestic terrorism on our ancestors. But the reason why I'm just so done with public schools, because one, they don't teach our children anything. Two, it's an indoctrination center. Three, it just further backs up the propaganda that our children are being taught. They're not learning any kind of skills to help them do anything in society. They're only teaching them with just a short curriculum so they can have at least the ability to read and write, etc. Maybe some math, maybe some science, but they get out of high school. A lot of them know nothing about credit. They know nothing about investments whatsoever. Okay. They don't know, how to fill out a resume coming out of high school. And we're talking about the majority, not those who are in these AP classes or somebody. No, we're talking about just regular people going through high school. Then on top of that, you got to deal with the Karens, that's teachers. Then on top of that, you got to deal with the race soldiers. Then on top of that, you got to do the school to prison pipeline. Then on top of that, you got to deal with administrators that are looking for any reason to try to suspend our children. So no, I am not an advocate of that. Matter of fact, during the pandemic was a blessing to black children, because when they went virtual, a lot of them actually felt comfortable because they wasn't in that kind of environment anymore. And they can actually just focus on their schoolwork. A lot of children like virtual. Now, the little kids, I always say that virtual is not good for them. But the older kids, yes, it is good. And some parents didn't even send their kids back to public school and say, shoot, I can just do virtual. I can do homeschool this way. I don't have to be dealing with this in these schools. They're not educating my children anyway. Then you have a state like Texas. They have this critical race theory, law, which, the whole thing, all that critical race theory was built in not that critical race theory itself, but critical race theory was something that was discussed at the collegiate level. But when they go to these Republican think tanks or Democrat think tanks, they come out with what they want to say. I always tell you, when you see them just come out with something and they all just repeating it all of a sudden, that was discussed in the think tank. And they say, okay, let's go with this particular narrative. So in places like Texas, you can't even teach the real history. So what is the point of your children being in public school if they can't even be taught real history? You understand? So why would I want my kid not knowing the truth? Now, some people say, well, you should teach them at home. Listen, if they can't be taught while they're sitting at school 7-8 hours a day, then what's the point of them being there? They need to be somewhere else where they actually can learn. But I'm glad this young sister definitely put this out here and just let you know what goes on in public schools. And this sister said this was day one. But, leave me a comment, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about how you're doing with the education of your children, because we definitely would like to know, are you homeschooling them now? Have you enrolled them in a Black controlled and ran school? Have you done that? Or maybe you probably got with a school like that that's doing virtual now. Let us know, your education that you're doing for your children. 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, sharecropping, the Ku Klux Klan, lynchings, bombings, mass incarceration, the separation and destruction of the Black family. All of that has had an effect on our mind. Our mind needs to be decolonized. We today are experiencing mental slavery, not physical slavery as once our ancestors had to endure. In my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we take you through every step to start releasing the chains that's on your mind. He or she who controls the mind control the person. It is in a vested interest of the white supremacist system to keep your mind bogged down in a mental slavery, throwing entertainment, throwing drugs, throwing alcohol, anything they can at you to keep you bogged down. You got to free yourself from mental slavery by purchasing our book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, today on Amazon. Make sure you share it with your family, share it with your friends. Everyone can benefit from decolonizing the mind, because once your mind is decolonized, you will never be put to sleep again. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store.